Take it away, Tim.
Right, so this is the library puts forward a Mac Basics and a Windows Basics class. This is where we go over very general information about those respective operating systems, and this is the Mac class. One of the first things I generally start this with is reminding people what the Apple product launch dates are. So generally in March, you'll get some updates, you'll get some launches. And in September is the other month where there will be launches. So this is generally good information if you're looking to buy a new computer. And the reason why this is good information is Apple, unlike Microsoft, unlike Windows computers, generally don't go down in price that much. So if you're thinking about buying a computer, it makes sense to, if you're a month or two away from either the March or the September dates, it makes sense to wait. For example, the iPhones and the new Mac Studio and the new display came out very recently. So if you're looking for a desktop Mac, now would be a great time to buy. But as always, if you're looking to upgrade or update your Mac, the MacBook Air is just a very solid purchase. So the reasons why you would upgrade a computer are generally one, if it's getting old, or two, if it's dead. If your computer is getting old, you can recognize that it's getting old because the Mac OS will no longer update. So I believe the most recent is, I want to say, Monterey. So if your computer can't update to Monterey, it's time to, unfortunately, it's time to start thinking about getting a replacement. Generally, these computers are supported well past any Windows computer in terms of years. So, if you're looking in front of you and your computer is over 7 years old, it's a good thing to think about starting to buy the new one. The good news, if you're looking to buy a new computer, is that the M1 chips are a decent and / substantial improvement over the older Intel chips that were in the previous Mac generations. So if you're looking at buying a computer and you want a laptop and you want the cheapest one Mac has to offer for $8.99 in the education store, allegedly you need to be an educator to buy that, or a student. Hypothetically, they don't check. You can buy a Mac Air and you will get many, many years of usable life out of this computer. If you're looking for something a little bit more powerful, so if you're doing design work, or you're in college, or you're sending someone to college and they want a computer that will be fast and last a little bit longer than the Air, the MacBook Pros are a great option. However, we're talking about the 14 and 16-inch models. However, they do get to be fairly more substantially priced. So you can get these for generally on sale around $1,900. So $1,899. And occasionally that is a pretty big price for a lot of people. If you're thinking that you use your computer more not in a mobile sense, so you're not carrying it with you, or you're setting up your laptop on the same desk every time you go to use it, then I would highly recommend thinking about buying either a Mac Mini or a Mac Studio. These are just, you're going to get a slightly faster computer, and generally it would be a little bit less expensive than if you're buying a laptop. Plus, while Apple is still ranked number 1 or number 2, depending on which site you check in terms of longevity for their computers, in general, desktop computers will last longer than laptops. All right. So this is what it looks like whenever you first log into your computer. The bottom over here, we have the dock. You can add programs to the dock. You can remove programs from the dock. And this is kind of your quick access to programs. However, I really like the searchlight function. I think it's called Spotlight. The Spotlight search function, and you can access that by going to the top right and hitting the little magnifying glass, or you can hold down Command and press the space bar, and that will open up Spotlight Search. The reason why Spotlight Search is really nice is because you can get to it via that really simple one click in the top right, or via the really simple, wow, I forget what those are called. Wherever you use your fingers, typing. Keyboard shortcut, yeah. Where you have the really simple keyboard shortcut of Command Space, and then Spotlight Search will come up. And this is where you can search for documents or applications. So I find myself very rarely actually using the dock these days. I'll just use Spotlight Search. And if I want to open up something like Firefox, I'll just start typing Fire. It will find in the first two results, it'll find generally what you're looking for. And then you click on it and it will open up Firefox. If you want to see what your computer's stats are, to see if how old it is, or what how much space you have, that sort of thing, you go to the top left, you click on the Apple icon, and you go to About This Mac. So oftentimes, whenever you're looking for a computer upgrade, or you're trying to figure out what's going wrong with your computer, or a whole number of different status messages that may pop up, About This Mac is very useful. The first tab you'll see is your overview. This will give us what version you're on, what your model is, what the chip is, memory, serial number, all that fun stuff. So this is what you will be using if you need to contact Apple support, is this serial number. And this is a very easy way to find it. If we go to storage, this is the other tab that you'll probably find the most use of. It's useful to see how much storage you have available on your computer. This is because while spinning disk hard drives are being phased out, the newer SSDs do run into a problem of, if you have over 80% utilization of your hard drive space, your computer will noticeably start to slow down. This is because computers use something called swap space to basically store things for longer term storage than in your RAM. And this will give you a very quick way of figuring out if you are running into that limit. All right. If you want to check to see if your computer needs any updates, you can go to the bottom app and go to the App Store, or you can Command Spacebar App. And then the App Store will be the first option. You hit Return and it will open up the App Store. This is also a very easy way to install applications on your Mac, and it provides a very easy interface in which to install applications. You can install applications on your Apple computer in a variety of different ways, but this is certainly the easiest. The other benefit of installing applications this way is you are virtually guaranteed that they are real applications and they're not going to steal your data or anything like that, because it has to go through a fairly secure vetting process before it can actually reach and make it to the App Store. The other benefit is that every app that's on this App Store will be able to automatically update, which requires pretty much no input from you, whereas some applications you may download directly from the internet, you may have to go back and re-download a new version in order to update it. So to update, you would go to on the left-hand side, the bottom option titled Updates, and all of the updates that you need to do will show up in this view, and it will also show you the ones that have recently been updated, which apparently the only recently updated thing, so from the past 30 days for me, has been the Microsoft To Do application. I'm going to quickly go over how to install an application from outside of the App Store. We will go to Safari or your web browser of choice. I will type in the name of the application that I want to find, in this case, Malwarebytes. And I will search for it. Malwarebytes, I generally recommend it more on Windows computers because they're slightly more prone to viruses. This is in two parts, partially because Apple is a slightly more secure operating system. And in the most part, because there are a lot more Windows computers, and there are also a lot more Windows computers in business, which means that if someone wants to steal information or develop malware, so a malicious program for an operating system, it just makes more sense for them to develop it for Windows because there are just more Windows computers out there to infect. So, Malwarebytes, there will be an option for Mac. I will click on that. I will then click on the free download. And a warning will pop up. So Apple will basically warn you whenever you're about to download something, at least using Safari. And it will ask you, do you want to allow downloads from this website? I will hit allow, and it will start to download. I will now see that in the bottom right, in my downloads folder, there is a Malwarebytes Mac package, the PKG. If I hit that, it will then open up the installer. I basically just hit continue, continue, continue. Now it will basically say that you need to agree to the license terms. Agree. It will tell you how much space it will take up. Hit install. It will then ask you to type in your password. And it will install. So as you've noticed, whenever I downloaded an application, it prompted me once to ask me if I really wanted to download it. And then it prompted me again to basically ask me to put in my user credentials in order to install it. This means that any malware in general that you get on your Mac, you have to at least go through two prompts in order to download it. So Mac makes it slightly more difficult than Windows in order to initially download an illegitimate program. You hit close. Apple will then ask you if you want to move the installer into the trash. This is just a cleanup step. We hit that, and now we have Malwarebytes on our computer. So top right, we will see it's a program that wants to basically show us that it's running at all times, and it will show up in the top right now. In order to view it, we can see that it's down here, and we can see that the Get Started page is going on and open. Now, if I, for example, want to have that program I just downloaded down in this taskbar or down in this dock, I will open up Finder. I will go to Applications on the left-hand side, and I will search for Malwarebytes. I don't have very many programs on this computer, so it's very easy for me to find it. However, if I'm having any issues, I can just start typing in this box, malware, and it will automatically find it for me. Once I have found the program that I want to put in the dock, I can click on it, and I can drag it into my dock. Once I release it in my dock, that means that the program is always going to stay there, and it's very easy for me to access it. If I realize that I no longer want that program in the dock, I can either two-finger click on it or right-click, depending on how you have your preferences set up, and go to Options and Remove from Dock. The other way that is slightly more fun in order to remove something from the dock is to click on it and just drag it up, and then it goes poof, and it's no longer on the dock. Now, let's say you have a program that you downloaded and you no longer want it on your computer. You will do the same process of going to Finder, going to Applications, finding that application, right-clicking or two-finger clicking, and hit Move to Trash. You will be prompted to put in your password. And it will remove it from your computer. And then once I empty the trash, this icon will go away. Are there any questions on installing or uninstalling a program?
Tim, I think that's pretty straightforward. I did have one question that came up, which is, you're using Safari. Would that be your browser of choice with a Mac, or is there, if people are more comfortable with Chrome or Firefox?
I'm fairly browser agnostic at this point. My recommended browser, or the browser that I use the most often, is Firefox. The reason why people won't see me using Firefox is that I use Firefox for my personal life.
That makes sense.
So I basically never open it up during a class or when showing somebody something.
Okay, thank you.
One thing that I really like about Mac computers in general is all of the gestures. So for example, if I take 3 fingers and go up, it's not going to show that. It's not going to be that interesting. Let's open up some stuff. If I want to select a window to go in front, I can do 3 fingers on the trackpad and move them. That will expand all of the windows so I can easily click where I want to go or what application I want to see at that moment. So that's 3 fingers up, 3 fingers down. You can do 3 fingers in a variety of different ways. I prefer up and down. And that will expand and contract. So for example, if I want to, instead of looking at the App Store, I want to look at the system preferences window, I could, for example, click on it over here, or I could click on it down in the dock, but I find it easier to do 3 fingers up, find it, click on it, and now it is the primary screen on the primary above everything else. This becomes increasingly more useful the more programs you have open. I oftentimes see that people will minimize all the stuff they're not looking at. This is another way to make sure that your active window is the window that you want to be looking at.
Could you please explain how you do the 3-finger thing? That seems like it could be really useful, and I don't really understand how you got there. Would you explain it again?
Sure. So for gestures, if you want the easiest way to figure out what gestures your Mac is capable of, you will go to System Preferences. You can get to System Preferences by either going to the bottom on the dock. You should have it in the dock, and it's the gear icon. You can also go to the top left and go to System Preferences, and it will open up this window. From there, we will click on Trackpad, which is in the bottom section, and it will give you the option to set different settings for your trackpad. On more gestures, this is where you'll find like kind of a very short video how-to on how to do the variety of gestures. The one I was talking about was mission control. So it'll show you like a really short, video with someone's fingers and what it does to the screen. So just 3 up and then 3 down. You can enable or disable any number of these gestures. So for example, if you don't want mission control to do it because you accidentally keep using it, I can deselect it. You're going to have to trust me, but I am swiping up and down with my fingers and nothing is happening. As soon as I click it on, it will start doing the gesture again. The other thing that Apple has that I find incredibly useful in terms of gestures is if you're on a web page, so like in Safari, and you want to go backward, 2 fingers and just drag it. And then you want to go forward, 2 fingers and drag it the other direction. So I personally find this easier than going to the top left and hitting backward and forward. So just 2 fingers, 2 fingers. And again, all of these can be found in the trackpad options. The other one I find really useful that not a lot of people utilize is multiple desktops. So basically what this allows you to do is to pretend like you're working when you're not. So for example, you can have, I believe Zoom will pick this up, but I can use 4 fingers and just drag to another desktop. So I can be, playing games or having all my personal information on this desktop and 4-finger drag over to my working desktop. And let's see which one that is.
But I've seen your calendar, Tim. You work all the time.
I know, right? So I'm not seeing it on here in the more gestures, but it's 4 fingers to the right or 4 fingers to the left to switch between your desktops. The other way to get there is to do the mission control. So that's the swipe up with 3 fingers. At the very top, you'll see if I hover over it, it will pop open and it will show desktop 1 and desktop 2. You can create a whole bunch of desktops, but I generally find 2 is enough for me. I like to have, one with my personal information on it. So, if I'm checking my personal email, that sort of thing, or if I'm looking at a news article, I can have it open in one desktop. And then if I want to work, I will then just swipe over quickly to the one that has all of my work applications open. The one annoyance with that is if you want to open something in both sections, or if you have a page open on one desktop and you want to move it to the other desktop, it's kind of annoying to do. So I generally will just close the program and then open it back up in the other desktop. But again, if you go to System Preferences, go to Trackpad, and then go to More Gestures, it will show you some quick, oh, there we go. Swipe left or right with 3 fingers. Yep, I just happen to use 4. So swipe between full screen apps, and it will show you the quick gesture on the bottom. What it's talking about with full screen apps is if you hit this green button, it used to maximize it to the current window. If you do it now, it will open it up in a new window where all you see is that application. This can be disorienting for some people because it basically removes all the other applications from your screen. But it's also nice because it gives you that more, it will automatically hide the dock, so you get the maximum screen space for that application. To stop it, you just kind of go to the top of the screen with your cursor. You'll then see the menu options and you'll see the green button again. If you hit that button, it will then exit full screen mode. Another thing that's in our daily lives is Wi-Fi. So if you're not connected to Wi-Fi, this symbol in the top right will not be, colored in with that gray. It will just be dark. If you click on it, it will then show you your Wi-Fi within what your computer can sense. It will show you the Wi-Fi signals, and then you will select one, and then it will ask you to type in the password. For example, if you're in the library and you don't have Wi-Fi, you would click on this Wi-Fi option, and then you would go to, I think it's what? Public?
Yeah.
Go to public, type in guest 123, no spaces, no capitals, and then it will give you access to the Wi-Fi network at the library. If you're having an issue with your Wi-Fi connection where it won't connect, I generally recommend to do 2 things. the first thing is just turn this Wi-Fi bubble. So right now it's blue. If you click on it, it will then turn it off and then turn your Wi-Fi back on and then try to reconnect. If that doesn't work, I just recommend restarting your computer, which will essentially reset every adapter that's a part of the computer, and then it will hopefully work after that. While Apple does provide you with alternatives to commonly used programs such as Word, you can always install Word, but Apple will give you access to things like Pages. Pages is an application that is very like Word, and it also allows you to open up Word documents directly into Pages and edit them. For Excel, it is Sheets, right? No, what's the Numbers?
Numbers.
Yep. Numbers is the Excel alternative. Again, it will open up any Excel file. However, some issues you may run into is the formatting will be slightly different. So if you're working on, for example, a job application or, a resume, and you have it very specifically formatted in Word, sometimes if you open it up in Pages, it will change the formatting enough to, bump things onto a second page. So if you're looking to send something, Mary can tell you more about this. I think she's the job counselor at the library. But if you're looking to send someone a document and you don't need them to edit, it's always advisable to save it as a PDF in order for the formatting to basically be locked in and not be allowed to change.
Absolutely.
If you go to System Preferences, another main thing that you'll notice with Apple is you'll essentially have two logins. One is to the computer and one is to your Apple account. So over here, it will show you that my Apple ID, iCloud, Media, and App Store stuff is right here. And it will also allow me to tell which things I want to be synced across my devices. So for example, I have an iPhone and I have this Mac. All of these check marks means that these applications will save the information between, sorry about the dogs in the background, that all of these items are being synced between my two devices. So if you've ever wondered, how can I back up some of my documents, or how can I make sure that my photos are saved or my passwords? As long as these are checked, that means that your iCloud is syncing them between all of your devices. So if you make a change on one, it will affect the other and vice versa. So again, to get to that, you go to System Preferences and Apple ID. The other thing to note is at the bottom, this is the amount of iCloud storage space you have. If this gets full, Apple gives you 5 gigabytes free. If this gets full, it will ask you to pay money to gain access to more storage. If you use this, if you use iCloud more than I do, you may find that your photos will take up a very substantial amount of space, and you may need to buy more storage in order to keep using it. The other nice thing about the Apple ID iCloud storage space is particularly useful for phones. If your phone, for example, if my iPhone, if I accidentally threw it down a well and it broke, because now they're all waterproof, but if it physically broke, I could go to the store, buy a new one, sign in with my Apple ID, and then all of my information would go straight back into the phone.
Could I ask you a quick question about that?
Sure.
So with the syncing of the photos to the iCloud and linking my phone to my computer, I don't need my photos stored on my computer, but my space just got used up because of that very thing being linked. Is there a way I can have my phone just back up on the iCloud and not having it backed up on the computer? So, or how do I get rid of that space? How do I get them off my computer so that I can access my storage?
Yeah, so in that case, you would just go to Apple ID and then you go to the photos and then you would deselect it. So basically what this means is that it will stop syncing your iCloud, your photos to your Mac.
And then will it automatically sync from my phone to iCloud?
Yep. So this is just, this is the relationship your computer has with iCloud storage.
Okay.
If you do the same thing on your phone, that will break the sync between your phone and iCloud storage.
And do I have to look that up through Apple ID on my phone? Is that how I would do that?
Yeah, so
Okay.
let me just give you, at least according to the latest version of iOS, settings, and then the top option will be all of your iCloud information. So you'll click on your phone, you'll click on settings, then you'll click on your name at the very top, and then you will click on about halfway down the screen, iCloud, where it will give you all of those sync or not to sync options.
Okay. Awesome.
Yep.
Thank you so much.
It will take a certain amount of time for things to be removed or things to be added if you sync or desync your iCloud account.
So the on is just that it's synced. Is that right?
Yep. On
Okay.
is synced and actively syncing.
Okay. That's helpful. Thank you.
This used to be an issue, but Apple kind of fixed it. Now, if you buy a new printer and you plug it directly into your computer, or it's accessible over your Wi-Fi, it will just show up here. You'll just hit plus and it will go and try and find it. So it used to be an issue, but this is where your printers are located. So basically system preferences is very straightforward, where what you see is what you get. If you have a keyboard or you want to change your keyboard settings, you click here, trackpad, click here, all that fun stuff. One thing I would like to talk about real quickly is Time Machine. So Time Machine is in the bottom right. If you want your computer backed up, but don't want to pay monthly for the larger iCloud cost to have all of your information backed up to iCloud, you can buy an external hard drive and set up Time Machine. As soon as you plug in an external hard drive to your computer, it will prompt you with, do you want to set up Time Machine? If you hit no, you can then set that up later by going to System Preferences and going to Time Machine. What Time Machine does is it will create a snapshot of the computer. So the first time you use it, it will take a very long time to back everything up. And then every time that you plug it in afterwards, Time Machine will take an incremental backup or a snapshot, which basically means it will only take the information that has changed. Benefit of this form of backing up is that, one, it's fairly cheap. You can get a sizable hard drive for around $100. And two, it will last a very long time because you're making that one big backup initially, and then it only backs up the changes, which are generally small amounts of data. The other benefit is you can go back in time, hence the name Time Machine, and you can look at, the files you had on your desktop in 2017, and you can gain access to those if you don't know where they are anymore. So I always recommend spending $100 or so, getting an external hard drive and setting up Time Machine if you're at all worried about your data on your computer. The other benefit for this is if you buy a new computer, you can plug in your old Time Machine hard drive and tell it, yes, this is a new computer, and it will automatically load everything exactly the way it was. All right, I see someone raise their hand.
Go ahead, Bridget.
Yes, while you're on this screen, I'm looking to see if there's a place for selecting a camera. And the reason for that would be because you don't like the one that came with the computer, and you'd like to have one you could pick up and use and put on a tripod. But you have to select between the one that's built in and the other camera. How would you do that?
That's kind of a per application basis.
Oh, gee. It's hopeless.
Unfortunately, it will save what you, so for example, if you have two cameras, or
Yeah.
if you have an external camera and you use Zoom, if you select that camera, the external camera in Zoom, it should save that. So the next time you open up Zoom, that will be the default camera. So per application, you should only need to do that once.
That's good. That's good enough. Thank you.
On the subject of cameras, my current recommendations are the Elgato Face Cam. This is $169, or the Logitech Brio, and that's $200. If that is too steep, I heavily recommend going to Amazon and webcam and just buying the cheapest camera and using it, because there's a fairly big jump in terms of camera quality from the cheap ones to the really expensive ones. But like, you know, the difference between this $29 camera, this $50 camera, this $70 camera isn't going to be that big. So feel free to just go with super cheap for your camera, as a random statement. All right, so we're at the section where if anyone has any questions, feel free, or if I know Mary uses her Mac. Mary, is there anything that you think would be useful?
Just trying to think, well, does anybody have any questions? Anything that they want to do with their Mac that they haven't been able to do or are confused about?
This is Doris.
Yep.
Just wondering, you were talking about the iPhone. Would you set up the iPad, for instance, to have everything sync the same way?
Yeah.
So, okay.
Good question.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep. So I'll just go over a folder creation real quick. So if I open up Finder, bottom left, the little happy face icon, it will open up to recents. These are the most recently edited files. One thing that can mess some people up is these files are in recent because you have recently used them. They're not necessarily always going to be here. As you can see, I like doing all of my tutorials with small images. So if you want to kind of save something in a more central location and you're using Cloud Drive, you can go to Documents down here, and then you can right click and you can go to New Folder. And then I will title this folder with what I feel will make me remember what is inside the folder. Since we're in April, I'll say tax information. and then I will open up that folder. And then if I put all of my tax information in that folder, I now know that if I go to documents, tax information, that's where all of those items will be. If I want to, if something is in recent and I really want to know where it's located, I can click on it, right click, and show in enclosing folder. So if I have edited a document recently or created a document and I have absolutely no clue where I saved it, I will go to recent, I will find the file I'm looking for, I will 2-finger touch or right click. I will then go to show in enclosing folder. It will then open up the folder that it is a part of, and I can find it. So I know this folder is called blobs. Yeah. So I now know that this item is in this folder. If I want to move this item, I always recommend 2-finger clicking or right click, selecting it, going to copy or move, going to where I want it to be saved, right click and paste. The reason why I like doing this is because if you drag and drop, occasionally you can accidentally drop it somewhere else. And then once again, you have to find it and then move it again. If you want to delete something from a folder, you can either click and drag it down into the trash can or do the 2-finger / right click on it and move to trash. And then it will remove it from that folder.
So there was a question about how often you empty your trash.
Honestly, I forget about it and I almost never empty it. Ideally, you would empty it fairly regularly. Right now I can see that it has trash in it because of the icon. I will click it. I will then see and check, yes, all of these items are trash. I do not care. And then you can either go to empty, which is in the top right-hand corner, or you can go to the trash can, right click on it, empty trash. And then we can now see that the trash can is the empty icon.
So there's a question in the classroom. Yes,
Yeah, I got this as my first Mac after decades of using the other. And none of my documents couldn't be downloaded through the cloud. The system was too old or something. And so I couldn't use my Mac or anything with those. So I had someone here. I got a Microsoft, I bought that, and then I had them put into this Mac. But I still can't do a thing with them as far as Pages goes. And that's basically it. I have like 2 systems going, and instead of it simplifying my life, it really complicated it.
did you hear that, Tim?
Yeah. So Pages, let's see. So pretty much if, I don't know why I opened up Pages. So basically, if you have documents that are in an older format, you should be able to open them up directly into their corresponding application. The limit to that is like, I think if a document's pre-Word 2003, I think Pages may have an issue with it.
Yeah.
If I am ever in a situation where I am unable to open a whole bunch of documents, I will put them in my Google Drive because Google's incredibly agnostic in terms of what documents it supports. I mean, I hesitate to say the solution to any problem is an additional program. But if you come by Wednesday, I can show you how to do that. And Mary has all of that information.
Right.
Thank you.
And there's also right-clicking a document and selecting opening with, and then choosing the software that you want to open it with. And that helps.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yep. The default may not always be the best.
Right.
So let's see. I'm just not sure which one of these I can open.
I think that one's going to be fine.
So I can see that this is an Excel document. Right click, open with. It gives me two options by default. Since I have Excel, it wants me to open it with Excel. If I want to open it with numbers, I can hit that, and then it will open with numbers. As you can see, can't be opened right now. The file form is invalid. I think this is because the file is actually invalid. Yep. And the reason why I think it's invalid was because it shows as 0 bytes. Even if something is a very small document, it will still ask for more. It will still have some amount of size. So if I want to delete both of these items at the same time, I will select one. I will then hold down Command, which is the option, which is the one right to the left of the space bar. I will then select the other, which will allow me to select both at the same time. Once both are selected, I can right click on them and I can go to move to trash. The reason why this is really nice is because if I want to just remove a whole bunch of stuff, I can Command click, 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 right click, and then move to trash. So I don't have to manually do that for all of these small individual documents. So that's Command. If I click on one and then I hold Shift and I click on another one, everything in between will be highlighted. This is just a way to quickly select multiple things. I see a hand up.
Yeah. Yeah, it's Virginia, and I have a question about people who are using a Mac for the first time after living a life of Windows. And this is, forgive me, it's not for myself, it's for my sister, who has been calling me up a lot because she got a Mac around Christmas time and had never used an Apple product at all. And she was lost because of the names of programs built into the operating system and coming with the equipment. They have to have different names from the competitors, otherwise they'd probably get sued. But is there any place you can go for like a dictionary of the terms that are used for the things that, like you've been describing, gestures and things like that? And is there any way that those can be related back to a previous life as a Windows programmer or a Windows user?
That's a good question. I mean,
There you go.
Oh,
Apple does have a support page specifically for this.
ooh,
The reason why this is kind of nice is because one, it looks pretty. And secondly, if there's something that it thinks you should have more information on, it will then give you another link to an additional kind of support page.
oh, that's wonderful. I'll make sure that she finds that if she hasn't found it already.
The thing a lot of people, myself included, find useful is the keyboard shortcuts. The biggest issue I have personally switching between my Mac and my Windows machines constantly is that Apple uses the Command key and Windows uses the Control key.
Yeah.
But this is just one document on how to do that. on the switches. The main thing is if you are using the built-in Apple versions of things like Office, so Numbers or Pages or Keynote.
Yeah.
You're just gonna have to remember those names. But in general, what I tell people is these operating systems are incredibly similar. And the biggest
Yeah.
difference, in my opinion, is just how it looks. So if you get used to searching for things, which is my preferred method on Windows as well as Mac, they become fairly similar. So in Windows, if I hit the Windows key in the bottom left, it will open up the search option. In Mac, if I hit the Command spacebar, it will open up the search option. So I pretty much do everything through search. If I want to open up a program, I just search for the program. And also if they're using things like, Adobe to open up a PDF, it'll be incredibly similar. If they want to use Photoshop, it'll be essentially the same thing. So the underpinnings may be slightly different, but the programs and the program usage should be very transferable.
That's great. Thank you.
Anybody have more questions for Tim? One thing you might think about doing, Tim, is showing them, oh, go ahead and go through this. This is useful.
Oh, I always forget what this is actually called. I think it's like Launcher or something. But if you click on this, you'll see what's currently using your microphone or your camera. So if you're not using any programs and you see this little amber light, that means you're being recorded in some fashion. So you can click on that and you can see what application is using your camera or microphone. It will also allow you to quickly see things like Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, all that stuff. It will allow you to change your display brightness. It will allow you to change your sound. It will allow you to play your music. As you open up more applications, this will become bigger. The nice thing for me is focus. So what focus is if you have a lot of emails or something that keeps notifying you in the top right-hand corner, you can click on this, you can click on focus, and you can say until this evening or set up a specific time where your computer won't interrupt you with things like, hey, you got an email, or hey, you have an appointment in 5 minutes kind of thing. So you can set up do not disturb or for 1 hour or until this evening, or you can set up a whole different, set of times where your computer won't interrupt you while you're working. The other thing to note is if there's a particular application that keeps annoying you by sending you, notifications, you can click on it. For me, Chrome is particularly bad about sending a bunch of notifications. I can go to notifications. I can click on Google Chrome and I can say no notifications. And now Google Chrome will not send me any notifications.
It's really nice. I don't know that you can actually show this, but maybe you can talk people through how they would share a folder or a picture, AirDrop versus attaching it to an email versus sending a link from iCloud.
Yeah. So if you want to share something, my default is to always share it via email, just because that way you don't have to think about if someone has, an AirDrop capable device, or if someone isn't using a Mac product, you can just share it via email. So a lot of programs will have share options built in, and it's this little square with an up arrow. If you click on this, it will give you the whole laundry list of share options. You can email this page, you can send it via message. So that's your text message application. You can airdrop. And if you select one of the options, it will then ask you to get the other person to open up airdrop, and then you can continue with that. But all the applications will have this little square with an up arrow. If you want to share something from your computer, you can right click on that. And then you can get the same share options right here. So one thing you'll see is share file as an iCloud Drive thing is now enabled because I'm doing it from the computer. If I click on this, this will then allow me to, once again, click on the share option that I desire, and it will allow me to share this with anyone else as soon as I hit share. So a lot of things, if you're wondering how to do them, a lot of the time, all I'll say is you just right click on it. And then you open up this contextual menu, which will give you most of the actions that you're looking for.
Right. Does anyone have any further questions for Tim?
I have a question about mirroring, like mirroring to a TV screen. Because it used to work on my TV and now it doesn't, and I don't know what I've done wrong.
He's gonna show you.
Okay.
Yeah, so generally that'll be over AirPlay.
Yeah.
I don't have anything on my network right now that will allow me to AirPlay. But it's basically, you'll click on the screen mirroring icon in the control center.
It was working and then it stopped. It was great for Zoom classes. You know, I could see it on the television screen. It was just nice.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
It may just be that an update killed it,
Okay.
which would be unfortunate. Depending on your TV, you can make sure, so like Samsung TVs, you just want to make sure that it's updated, because now we live in the age where TVs also need software updates.
Yeah, and it is a Samsung, it's the one I'm using.
So I would go to, on the menu, there'll be something like system preferences or options or system. And then you'll go to that and check to make sure to see if it has updates.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Anybody else?
Oh, so I do have one, Apple TV.
Good.
Of course, I'm in the wrong room for Apple TV.
No.
But this is generally what should pop up is Apple TV. And then, you know, you'll type in the code, at least if you're using an Apple TV, and then it will share it.
Yeah, I have an Apple TV, but it's just, it was spinning and it couldn't find it. But it just started happening about a month or so ago and it was working fine up till then, so.
Yeah, and the TV still works for things like Netflix and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I have, it works on my Roku stick and everything.
Okay. Yeah, just make sure everything's updated is kind of the only advice I can give without seeing it.
Okay, thank you.
If you want to get to where you're able to AirPlay faster, go to this menu again in the top right and go to screen mirroring. And it will show you the
Yes.
acceptable devices.
Right.
All right.
I could ask something.
Yeah, we have another question. Go ahead.
It's silly, but I don't
Just speak loud like so.
I don't use a mouse.
Mhm.
And so, what is the touch equivalent of right click and so forth?
You want to show her the keyboard as well as?
So I think what I heard was like right click.
Right, she doesn't use a mouse, so how do you right click using a touchpad, and also maybe talk about the keyboard shortcut?
I don't know what the keyboard shortcut is for right clicking.
I don't have my Mac in front of me, it's,
Oh, is it just like control click or something?
yeah, control. I can't. I'd have
Yeah.
to.
So one option is to hold down control and right click, or hold down control and click, and that will open up the right click menu. The other option is to go into the trackpad settings and see what you have set up. So what everyone in the world calls right click, Apple calls secondary click. And the options available are click or tap with 2 fingers, click in the bottom right corner, or if you're left-handed, click in the bottom left corner. So I personally like the click or tap with 2 fingers. And if we look in the bottom right over here, it will show you a short video of what that looks like. So 2 fingers, tap, and right click. Whereas if I switch this to click on the bottom right corner and I do the 2 finger tap, you'll have to trust me, I'm doing it. It's not doing anything. But if I click with my finger on the bottom right, now it will open up the secondary menu. But here's how you do it. You go to System Preferences, where you go to the bottom of the screen in the dock, or you can go to up here, the Apple icon, go to System Preferences. From there, you will then click on Trackpad, and then under Point and Click, you will look at Secondary Click and see what you have selected as the option.
All right, thank you, Tim. I've learned a lot myself, and I have had Macs for ages, so thank you very much. I just want to remind everyone, I will send a recording of this class out to everyone who's registered. But I also want to encourage you, Tim does tech drop-in every Wednesday from 12 to 1. Come sign up and he'll see you, even if there are a lot of people, he'll stay until everybody's had a chance to talk to him. And we have a Mac user group that meets every other month, the first Tuesday of the month. The next one is going to be in May. So you can sign up on the website for that as well. And that's more informal. We all talk about things that we're struggling with or new hacks that we've just learned and shared them. So it's a great group.
Yeah, and the Mac user group is especially useful because while I ostensibly am very knowledgeable about this, I definitely don't use every single facet that is available in the Mac ecosystem. So oftentimes you'll find somebody there who will have an answer to your question that I would have to look up. In addition, if you have any questions, you can email Mary. She'll then pass it on to me, and then I can basically give you a website to look at, or I can just type in what I think the answer is. And as Mary also pointed out, Wednesdays at noon, you can stop on by the library, or you can join via Zoom, and you can talk with me directly about a specific issue.
And if you are going to use Zoom on Wednesdays, the Zoom link is actually on the event page. So you go to events at peterborotownlibrary.org. Oh, thanks. And go to events. And you're going to be looking at, yeah, there we go. There we go. And just click on top tech drop-in and you'll see, if you scroll down, there's the Zoom link. But Tim, this has been great. Thank you very, very much. Really.
Yeah.
All right, everyone, I will send this out as soon as we get it uploaded.
Yeah, that would be very handy to have it sent out.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you.